Afternoon, guys. We'll start with the broadcast section that's got no embargo, followed by an embargoed section for 10:30 p.m. tonight. Phones on silent and no tweeting during the broadcast section, please. James.
Hi, Ange. Yesterday we saw the landmark court ruling. The club confirmed they're committed to UEFA competitions. But what did you make of the revamp proposals? Can you see this European Super League ever happening?
Mate, no time to have a look at that, no idea. And, the club sort of put out a statement and we've got to be wary that, I'm not the club spokesman on these matters. And, but fair to say, the club's put out a statement on our position as a football club and, that's where we sit.
From a team news perspective, are you able to welcome back any players tomorrow? Giovanni, Brennan?
Gio's back. He's fine. From last week, there's no one apart from the suspended boys who obviously miss out tomorrow. Everyone else is okay, and Gio, he trained the last couple of days, so he's available, and that's kind of the only sort of change. Ashley Phillips is also available.
And you're without Udogie and Basuma due to suspension. Have you felt the need to address discipline with the squad with the number of yellow and red cards you picked up this season?
No, not really. I mean, it's obviously something that's not great for us because it's costing us during games, it's costing us post games. But the players are well aware of kind of the impact that those kind of things have, and I'm sure they'll learn from those experiences. I think, my experience in football is that the best remedy for that kind of those kind of things is, players missing out. If they feel like they're missing out on something, I think it brings them back into line pretty quickly. So, hopefully we keep winning and the guys who miss out, learn their lesson that way.
Hi, Ange. Just going back to team news, you mentioned a couple of months ago, of course, that Mickey and James are set to be back in January. Do you think it could be the early part of January that we could see them back in training, or do you feel it might be later on in the month?
Hard to say. I mean, they're both in rehab. Neither of them are anywhere near sort of training with the first team at the moment. So, if you look at timelines, Mickey and Matters did it pretty much in the same game. Mickey might be just ahead of schedule in terms of with Matters, but both kind of January. Bentancur fairly similar. So you don't like. It's not about sort of trying to not give out information. It's just that these things kind of either accelerate or get delayed when you get into that final phase. And until I see them out with us, then it's hard for me to say.
And in terms of your opponents tomorrow at Everton, since having that 10 points deduction, they've lost once and they've won the last four, haven't conceded a goal in those 4 matches as well. How impressed have you been with the way that Sean Dyche has seemingly galvanised that side?
Yeah, no, it's look, and I think even before that they were, like I said, if you take away a 10-point deduction, they'd be in a fairly good position in the Premier League. So they've been one of the more consistent sides all year. I think Sean's done an outstanding job. But when you do get hit with something like that, it's often the measure of the playing group and the manager, how they respond to adversity. And you've got to say their response has been first class. Obviously, the club and the fans were disappointed with the outcome, but he hasn't, and the players certainly haven't used it as an excuse for anything. And look, they're a good side. They're a really hard-working team. You've got to compete against them, and we're expecting a tough game tomorrow.
Thanks, Ange.
Ian, please.
Hi, Ange. Merry Christmas. Super League, I know you've just spoken about it, but can I just ask you whether you think from your experiences managing around the world and now managing in the Premier League, whether anything like a European Super League can get off the ground, and if Premier League clubs are not signed up to it, and kind of off the back of that, really, do you think the Premier League clubs would ever be interested in signing up to that?
Well, I haven't given it that much thought. I think the response that it got the first time round is a pretty good indicator of where it sits within the football fraternity in general. That's always a pretty decent barometer. I always think that with these decisions or with these concepts, they're usually done in a room with people who sometimes are detached from what this game's all about. It won't surprise anyone that I'm fairly conservative with these things. I'm a traditionalist. I don't like the game changing too much. I don't like rules changing too much, but I guarantee you I won't be in that room when those kind of concepts are put together. So, but like I said, I think you know, you got a fairly good barometer of, you know, what the most important people, the fans, felt about it, and football people in general. So we'll see what the outcome is.
You've had your blip, or seemingly had your blip, and you're still very much in there pitching. How pleased are you that you came through that sticky spell, and yet you're still very much in the conversation for top 4 or even better? Yeah,
no, look, we've had to deal with our own adversity, and we're still dealing with it. Fair to say, you know, we're still nowhere near as sort of optimum levels in terms of squad and you know, our sort of team and where we want to be. But I think, you know, obviously we had some results that weren't great, and it wasn't a great run. But even through that, for the most part, our performances were still strong, and the attitude of the players was still, you know, really determined to not let this derail our season. And like you said, we're still in a decent position in the league, and but you know, we're still going through some tough times, and we will. You know, it's well documented. We'll lose some more players in January. You know, pretty much right from the start. So, but you know, through this time, as I said before about Everton, it's how you deal with these things, and we're just going to keep on doing what we've been doing, and you know, keep on, you know, producing performances that get us results.
Finally, with the caveat that no manager likes to talk about players who are in other teams, Spurs linked with Conor Gallagher this week, linked with a lot of players. Just in general, January transfer window is just around the corner now. How busy a month do you expect it to be for yourself and for the club?
Yeah, don't really know. I mean, you know, it's one of those things. Like I said, January is a fairly tricky month in terms of you know, clubs doing business. But you know, we're doing sort of our background work now, and you know, once the window opens, we'll see whether we can make an impact in it or not.
Hi, Ange. Just in terms of the injured players, Ryan Sessegnon, how far away is he from a return to training?
Yeah, Sess still, you know, probably maybe a couple of weeks, maybe more away. Again, obviously with him, it's a little bit different. You know, we've got to be really careful about when we reintegrate him. But again, you know, he's doing his work. You know, he's out on the grass with the sports science guys, so we'll just wait and see.
Yeah. Dejan Kulusevski's been an influential figure in recent weeks. Have Spurs seen the very best of him so far? Just how good can he become?
Yeah, I hope not. No, I think there's more to come with Decky. You know, he's still fairly young, age-wise as well. But you know, I've been really pleased with him because he's played a number of positions for us, and he's had to. And you know, one of the reasons we're kind of getting through this period is guys have been willing to sort of take on different roles, whether it's him or, you know, Ben Davis or Emerson Royale, or you know, guys who have had to play different positions for us at different times. And but I think, irrespective of the position, Decky's been a real sort of impact player for us the whole season. You know, whether that's out wide, really like him playing inside. It gives us another dimension in terms of our attacking threats, and he's such a hard worker that wherever you put him, you know, you're going to get some output. You know, irrespective of the position. But there's more to come, and he's a willing participant in that. He really works hard at his game. We've asked him to be more of a goal threat this year, and he's definitely doing that. He's getting to those positions more, and that shows me that he still wants to improve, and I'm sure he will.
Okay, thanks, Ange.
Thanks, mate.
Back to George to finish this section, please.
Hi, Ange. Just going back to Basuma, it'd be 8 matches he would have missed overall through the suspension. Do you kind of have a fine line between letting him know that that's not good enough, but at the same time not sort of stifling that kind of freedom that I guess he needs to play with?
Look, as I said before, I think, yeah, you look at Biss. I mean, the first one was just, you know, the first red card was just a silly one, you know, where he's, you know, got a second yellow card for something silly. And last week, yeah, people can say what they want. He's just missed time to tackle. It's not like he's gone in to hurt anyone. And, you know, these things will happen. And in today's game, you're not going to get away with it, even if the referee doesn't see it. VAR will pick it up, and he's paid the price for it. And as I said before, it's, for me, these things, you know, you can talk to players. Players are well aware that, you know, when they get red cards, that you know, the team suffers without them, whether that's in game or games subsequent. But like I said, I've always felt the best remedy is, you know, if the guys feel they're missing out, you know, then, you know, that kind of helps them in that process of, you know, sort of not letting it affect their game, but also understanding the impact that it can have. And look, at the moment we're not in that place because guys who are missing out are coming straight back in because we just don't have the squad. But we get a strong enough squad, and guys miss out, and the team keeps winning. And if they miss big games, all those kind of things are the best remedy. But I always kind of understand that they're all human beings and they're going to make mistakes, and like all of us, we give them the opportunity to learn from those mistakes.
In terms of replacing Basuma, you've used Pierre at the sort of as a number 6 a few times this season. Oliver Skipp, do you view him as someone that can play as a 6, or in your mind is he more someone that's got the sort of attributes to be an 8?
No, I think Skippy can play at 6 for sure. I think obviously we've had Pierre there and Biss and even Bentancur when it comes back. So there's a fair bit of sort of flexibility in who we use there. And Skippy's had an important role for us. So most of the time he's been coming on in games where we really need some energy further up the park, and that's what the role he's fulfilled. But no, he can play at 6, and he probably will play there. We've got 3 games this week, so probably will get an opportunity at some point in that position. And with Biss being away, pretty much till the end of January, I'm sure we'll use him in that space.
And just finally, you've said before about how it's important that regardless of the highs or lows that you keep sort of level. How hard has it been to kind of keep level when it feels like every week there's another kind of problem, I guess, to deal with? Yeah,
look, I think it's important, like I said, that from my perspective, you don't sort of deal in the extremes, because it is an emotional game, and there's enough people who get emotional about these things that it doesn't need me to add to that. And my job in that whole thing is to find solutions rather than sort of focus too much on the fallout from any issues we may have, because I guarantee you that once we get all the players back, there'll be something else that'll be an issue, and you just got to, like I said, it's important for the players and the staff that they know that through that process, my role is to try and sort of charter a way forward rather than sort of focus on, like I said, the fallout from any challenges we may have.
Thanks, George. Okay, we'll end the broadcast section there. Excuse me, and move on to the Embargoed section for 10:30 p.m. tonight. Kieran?
I don't know, you're testing my memory, mate. Was I Yokohama or Celtic? I don't know.
April 2021.
I was still Yokohama? Well, there you go, mate. I can't remember where I was. Fair reflection of where I'm at. Look, like I said, I think the biggest thing, and maybe it surprised some people, didn't surprise me, was I often think, like I said, these decisions are made in a room with some people who are fairly detached from what the real football world's about, and then they think it's a great idea, and then they walk outside that room and they're faced with the reality. And I think the one thing that whole period showed us was, I think, because we were just coming out of COVID, I think at the time as well, was that without the fans, you're struggling. You're struggling for anything, because it was still being shown on TV, but no one can tell me it was the same product. We were trying to artificially create atmospheres so that it felt like a real football game. So when people, it's kind of a throwaway term that without the fans, football is nothing. It does ring true in many respects. And I think before, well, you'd like to think that before they make any of these kind of decisions or ideas come up again, they get a better sort of feeling for what the people who are most important to the game feel, and not just the supporters, but even the players. That's my biggest concern at the moment, is just the saturation of product we have. Is it's going to deteriorate because we're putting so many demands on players. Ultimately, performances will suffer. Ultimately, you'll get more players missing out, because of injury or fatigue, or and we keep coming up with competitions that we think are going to be great, for the most part, money spinners, which I understand because that's kind of what grows the game. But if the punters don't like what they see and they don't turn up, it ain't going to work.
It's sort of like commercialisation against tradition, and tradition's always going to win.
Well, it's not always going to win, is it? Because we know that that's not how it works. And sometimes it does need to move on. The game needs to move on to keep up with pace. But I think that you should test the temperature of the room before you make those kind of decisions. And I don't think they often that is taken into account. I think any idea that just comes down to numbers is in sort of in our game where there is so much investment and emotional attachment is always going to struggle to get up.
Just one more on that. Does it sort of make you feel a bit proud of football fans the way they sort of showed their power? Because it might have gone through with fans didn't show their support.
Yeah, I don't know if proud, but you know, I love the fact that proud of the people, mate. It's good, you know. It's good that people still have a voice. You know, it's what life's all about. So I thought it was great.
Just following on from what Kane was talking about, do you detect this? I think we can all feel almost like a fear in communities, football fans, that somehow the league's going to be taken away from them, everything's going to be broken really and destroyed. But I do think there is that fear that money and powerful people might maybe try and keep forcing that. Do you sort of get that as well? Is that part of your thinking?
No, I don't think I'm as fatalistic as that. I think because ultimately, if it's destroyed and broken, and like I said, no one turns up, they're gonna, you know, people are gonna find something else to do. You know, so no, look, like I said, I'm not an expert on the subject, and I understand that sort of, you know, progress is inevitable one way or another as the game grows and the interest grows. But like I said, I think you've got to take all factors into account and not be dismissive of something that doesn't come down to just numbers.
Is a part of you sort of surprised that there's still factions within the game that are seemingly trying to drive this?
Nothing surprises me, mate. No, not in this world. No.
John.
Go back to the game. Do you feel you've had more adversity than they have? Just because they've had the warrior players and you've been able to galvanise penalties against ones you haven't had warrior players, and you've
Yeah, I know.
10 goals because of it.
Oh, I think everyone thinks their own burden is greater than anyone else's, you know. So we all, but you know, that's why I'm really respectful of every manager, because even the ones who you think, you know, have had things their own way, I'm sure they've got their own challenges. It's just, it's once you accept that and embrace that, you understand that that's part of your role. That irrespective of which football club you're at, what situation you're in, there are always going to be challenges, and some are seen, some are unseen. Some people don't know about them, and if you clutch at those for a reason not to be successful, they'll always be there. But you know what I think, what you need to do, and what I've always tried to do, I think what this, you know, the strong leaders do is that they don't use them as a clutch. And you know, I'm not going to do that here. Like I said, we've had some adversity already this year. We had adversity before the season started, and in my mind, that shouldn't stop us from making the progress we need to make.
Surprised or not surprised that Everton did that so strongly?
No, I mean, not surprised, but you know, like I said, they've got a manager who's always up for a fight. He doesn't take easy jobs on, you know, that's for sure. And he's pretty good at you know, galvanising a group and not using excuses. And they've got some good players. You know, they've got some very good footballers. As you said, they haven't had too many injuries. They've got a couple now, but for the most part, they've been pretty consistent, and you know, that's why they're in the position they are.
Done.
Just a quick one.
Yeah.
Since we last spoke, Chris Davis has decided to stay, I think.
Hmm.
Can you talk us through what he said to you and how big a boost that really is to you?
Yeah, look, I didn't have a massive discussion with him. Yeah, you know, Chris, you know, sort of decided that, you know, this is where he wants to be, and yeah, great for us. Like I said, he's been a real key contributor to what we're doing, and you know, he's part of what I think is a really exciting coaching group, because they're all sort of young guys who are really determined to kind of make an impact, and great for me. And yeah, but with all these things, you like I said before, you want the best people, and if you've got the best people, they're always going to attract attention from others, and it's always better if they come to the decision themselves to stay with us than us sort of force the issue. And you know, Chris kind of decided this is the place for him, and yeah, delighted to have him on board.
Okay, we'll finish at the back of the room.
I am just the back here. We're doing a feature on Australia's 2015 Asia Cup final victory. I just wanted to get your memories on that game. And obviously, Sonny played in that game for South Korea. Have you spoken to him much about the game since?
I've tried to, but he doesn't want to talk about it, mate. No, it was a great day for me personally, I guess, because I'm coaching my country. It's the first major trophy we'd won in kind of the men's game, and you know, it's significant. You know, it's equivalent, I guess, of winning the Euro. So yeah, special day, special game. There was a bit of drama in it. Sonny scored, so you know, that added a little bit of a twist, and yeah, only really fond memories of it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.